and I didn't want to do it, but it was like my body made me learn how to care for myself, how to speak up, how to say no. And so it was a really chaotic way to learn that.
I'll have what she's having.
Welcome to another edition of
She Talks Confidence.
Podcast.
Welcome back. This is the She Talks Confidence podcast. It's Tony as usual. This week, I'm super excited because Leanne Sheargold, who I have on as a guest, does the exact same thing I do in terms of being based in with a foundation of quantum and quantum healing. And I also throw in a little stoicism and all that fun CBT stuff. You would say you're a quantum healer or trauma healer. Is that kind of how you would describe yourself in terms of your service?
Yes, so I refer to myself as a quantum healer, but I'm also multidimensional.
So first out of the box here, you work with quantum healing to help women clear trauma. How about for a woman who feels stuck in a loop of self-doubt? She usually blames her mindset. That's the typical thing that we do. I've got negative thinking patterns, but from a quantum perspective, is that lack of confidence just a thought, or is it an energetic pattern that's actually trapped in her physical body? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good question. So that would be so that pattern that she has of self-doubt, really it would be linking back to something in her childhood, or it might
Mhm.
even be in her teenage years where we're all starting to grow our self-confidence and working out who we are. Something from her younger years where she's had a negative experience and she hasn't been able to actually process that. And that has then created this belief system of where she's believing the negative thoughts or it's on loop. It's like, yeah, she can't break that cycle, which lots of us have. And then that's it affecting her potential or her being able to achieve what she wants to achieve. It's like fear is really trying to keep her safe, but it's not. It's actually doing the opposite. It's keeping her small and in a box.
Exactly, because the subconscious thinks that, or the ego also thinks that it's if you stay that way, you're safe. If you venture outside of that, there's danger in there. And that's where those subconscious limiting beliefs come into to play. I find it very interesting because a lot of
Yeah.
times women will come to me and they will say, "Oh, I have this automatic negative thought of this and this," and we work on stuff and we will go through just the big cognitive stuff just to reprogram, and it doesn't stick. And I think the reason it doesn't stick is because there's a lot of that, or a good portion of that, that might be at the quantum level, because that is a different level. It's almost the energy that's being trapped. It's something that's not in your conscious mindset. It's something in your subconscious energy field. Can you tell when somebody comes to you and starts talking where the issue is at, if it's either in their limiting beliefs or it's really a base energy issue?
Yeah, so when people come to see me, because I work with energy as well, it's when they lay on my massage table, their body starts to speak. So it's like parts of their body will start lighting up. The part of
Mhm.
my quantum healing is working with the energy fields, but it's also getting the client to connect back into their body and learn how to speak to their body, which I know at first feels really foreign and unusual, and they think I'm going bonkers. But then once they start to learn that their body can talk to them, it can tell them
Yeah.
what's going on, we soon then are able to get to the issue. So when you were saying previously how you work with them and it doesn't release it, it's because
Mhm.
we need to go deeper into the seed. What was the action when you were younger that planted that little seed of self-doubt? And then it's been growing and manifesting and getting bigger and bigger and move. It's like a little weed. It's spreading out everywhere in your body and
Mhm.
it's taking
Mhm.
over your self-confidence and your self-esteem. Fear is living in your body. So it's when you come to a session with me, we've got to dig through all that mess and burrow down nice
Mhm.
and deep till we get to that little seed and remove the seed. And it's really important to remove that seed as a whole thing rather than breaking it off into bits because then it'll start to grow again.
Rather than just looking at the symptoms of the seed, which happens a lot of times, there's surface level stuff. Oh, I do this, or I sabotage myself, or I do this. And if you just work on the basic symptoms of the core root cause, then things won't work or they won't shift like you want them to shift. Is somatic healing the same thing as what you're talking about in terms of them coming in and going through the body work? Is that what that is, or is that something different?
It is slightly different. When I work with ladies with trauma, it's like an onion. You know how you have lots of layers that you've got to peel back? It's really, if you can imagine that maybe as a 5-year-old, this thing that happened to you that blocked your self esteem, and you're now 50, there's lots of years in between. So there's lots of layers to go through. And
Mhm.
sometimes it depends on how much trauma you've had. If it's just been one incident, it is usually we can get through to that seed, just a couple of sessions. But if it's been a lifetime, we've got to really connect with our body rather than forcing it. We want to be gentle and we want to be nurturing. So it's like asking the body, what trauma do you want to release today? And so we're speaking with the body and gently removing it layer after layer. But then as you get towards the center, it's like you're then able to know exactly what's going on. So you can, rather than doing it slowly one at a time, you can actually go in deeper because I've taught the ladies how to support their body and what they can be doing at home to keep them in a safe space where they're nurturing, they're feeling loved. So we're able
Mhm.
to move through it faster.
I love the fact that you bring up talking to the body because that's so incredibly important and surprisingly not something that a lot of women or men for that matter really understand the connection, the physical to the mental, emotional to the spiritual. They're all connected and the body holds a lot of things. And it's interesting because I first learned this many years ago when I was going through my first incantation of this whole thing that I do now. And I was at a seminar and they said, "You're not going to feel well after all this," because they basically just stripped you down to nothing in this seminar, just absolutely whittled you down to a nub in terms of your
Mm.
identity your old identity that you didn't want to live with. And the reason that you're at the seminar in the first place was to not live through that old identity. So they take it all away and I felt terrible. I had a headache. I had stuffy sinuses. I felt my body ached. All and they said, "Yeah, that's what happens." Because when you go through something like that, your body just first of all, it fights it, then it has to have the process of releasing it. I found that fascinating. Have you ever gotten to a situation to where you've dealt with clients and they're resistant to the body thing and then all of a sudden you it starts to happen and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this." And it ultimately ends up being something that benefits them.
Yeah, I would say that's the majority of my clients. The very first
Mhm.
session when they've just met me, and then I'm saying, "Okay, we're going to speak to your body part now." And the look on their face, like, "Oh my God, is she totally
Yeah,
what?
she's bananas,
Can
right?
I,
Yeah.
great, now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And
Right?
then I just reassure them. I say, "Okay, I know this sounds really weird, but just go with me. Just trust, go with me, and let's see
Yeah.
what happens." And then when they actually, and I suppose also because it's my energy supporting them, like when they
Mhm.
speak to that body part or their womb or whatever it may be, and they actually hear something, they're like, "Oh my God, why haven't I done this before? This is crazy."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always really interesting to see how they react. But then the reassurance that they receive from actually talking to that body part and getting a response. It's because I then encourage them to go home and to start talking to their body parts. Or
Yeah.
like when you have a headache, don't just go pop a pill and think that's going to fix it.
The body's an incredible indicator if you're in alignment or
Yeah.
not, and I love the fact that you do the body work. I wanna talk about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and it's people pleasing. So, when you talk about reclaiming your inner sovereignty through your quantum healing, when a woman's in a chronic people pleaser, what is happening to her energy field on a quantum level, and how does clearing that give her that literal strength to stand in her power finally?
Yeah. So when people come in that are people pleasers, and there's a lot of people, I think we generally all are until our confidence grows.
Mhm.
It's like your body is contracted in. It's like shrunk in on itself. It's like you've been giving to everybody on the planet, but you forgot about yourself. So you're actually giving to people where you've got no energy for yourself. So it's like you're this little shriveled up blip inside your body. You've got no life force. You're gray. You're dark gray. You look even worse than a zombie. And of course, there's varying shades of how bad look when I first can see people, as well as to how
Mhm.
much the people pleasing is. But again, it really just comes back to what has happened in your childhood that made you feel like you have to actually get people's approval for everything, or that you have to give to them. Were you neglected? Were you abandoned? What happened that's actually created this? Why do you feel like you need to be a doormat to everybody and overgive just to get a little tiny little fraction of kindness or a little bit of love back your way? Um, by giving like 1,000% and you get maybe 1%.
Yeah, because it's about you trying to prove your worth. It's a self-worth issue, and it's such a terrible place to be because you'll never fulfill that bucket up in yourself by anything outside of yourself. And so you can people please all you want and make everybody's dreams come true, and you'll still won't get your carrot. You'll keep moving your carrot. It still won't be enough because it starts introspective and from inside, and anything you do outside is not going to help you out on that. It just makes it worse, right? Because then you just get more down on yourself that things aren't coming your way and people aren't respecting you or they
Yeah.
aren't valuing you at the level that you feel as though you need to be but you're giving away your value in that.
I think it's like most things until you get to a point where you're sick to death of being trodden on and treated like
Yeah.
crap, until you're sick of yourself, you've got to hit that bottom, unfortunately, for you then to make the changes. I know even in myself, I was definitely a people pleaser and giving to everybody, saying yes to things I didn't want to do, putting everybody
Yeah.
first before myself. And then I had a stroke at 28 years of age because I,
Holy moly.
had nothing
Talk about
left
your
to give.
body talking to
So,
you, Leanne.
yeah, yes. And I had 3 sons under the age of 5. And in
Oh, wow.
fraction of a second of a blood vessel bursting, I turned into a 90-year-old woman. I couldn't dress
Oh,
myself. I couldn't care for myself. Couldn't do anything. And so my
wow.
husband had 4 kids at that stage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting how from that point for my recovery, I had to actually give back to myself. I had to take time out for myself. And it felt horrible. I hated it and I didn't want to do it, but it was like my body made me learn how to care for myself, how to speak up, how to say no. And so it was a really chaotic way to learn that, but it actually helped me to change, but also helped me. It took a fair while for my self confidence to start to grow, but it definitely was a
Mhm.
big changing point from when that happened around people pleasing and me valuing my self worth and recognizing I am a nice person, I am a kind person, but I also have a right to be treated nicely and spoken to nicely and those sorts of things.
It's really hard for women who've got a lot of juggling a lot of balls, right? They've got the mom ball up there they're juggling. Maybe they're working. They're doing a support group or volunteer work. They're doing a ton of different stuff. They're taking care of the house. Do you ever have an issue to where they come in and they want to put themselves first or they want to prioritize themselves in some way, but the guilt is there because they feel as though they have responsibilities that they can't diminish in priorities? How do you go about getting them to balance all of
Yeah, I have had a fair few ladies come in that. And I suppose getting there, and then they're telling me their symptoms, and they've been to the doctor, and the doctor can't find any reason, or they're taking this tablet or that tablet, but they still don't feel any different. So it's like just really, I just listen. I listen to what they're saying. I ask them why. I get them to connect to their body. And then I will say everything I'm saying out of my mouth or energetically doing, it's just really gentle and supportive because I want the women to feel safe. That's the main thing, creating an environment where they feel safe, that they can be vulnerable and be raw and express what's really going on. And so often just by me holding the space and being asking nice, supportive questions, then they'll actually be ready to express what's really going on, how they view themselves, why they're doing this. And then from that point, it's just gently me supporting them and saying, if you were to do perhaps this one little step about maybe in the morning, just going outside and having a cup of tea, listening to the birds, feeling the
Mhm.
sun on your face.
Mm.
Start the day with giving to yourself. And I get them to imagine that above their head, they've got a bucket. And just by
Mm.
them doing that one little thing, they're filling up their bucket. So then they've got energy to give to other people rather than drawing from a metal empty bucket. So,
Right.
yeah, try to really express to them that nothing is going to change unless they take action. Like we
Yeah.
all, at 3 a.m. in the morning, we're all like, oh, in the morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to do this. And then 6 o'clock rolls around, we're still in bed. We don't do anything. So I try to really gently reinforce that they're the only ones that can change things. But they have to do that by taking action. They've got to make that little change. And then, yeah, usually the majority of the women will then start to do that. And then they'll come back and say, oh, this has changed.
Right.
Occasionally, I have had women are very resistant, and they don't come back again because
Mhm.
they're not ready to make that change, or they're not ready
Yes.
to allow themselves to receive. So what I'm saying feels too foreign and too hard,
Yep.
and they don't like it, so they don't come back.
Yeah, there's a boy, you brought up so many great points. There's a thing called the trans-theoretical model of change, and it indicates there's 4 phases that people go through in terms of wanting to change, and it's not till the step 3.5 that they actually have the leverage and the incentive to change. The first couple are like, "Oh, I want to, but meh," and then they make excuses. The second one is, "I want to, I'll get some research on it, and I really and I'll go to therapy." They'll go and talk to you, or they'll do some body work, and then it's too out there for them and they just can't accept it. Then it gets to that point. And really, that's true. A lot of people, even going to in traditional therapy that I've dealt with, I can tell that they're just not ready. They're there and they may want
Yeah.
to, and or even more so than anybody else in their family maybe wants them to. They're still there and they want to change, but it's just not. They're just not ready for it. Another thing you brought up was the fact that them saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe it," when they started doing the body work. I have found, and research has shown, that your physical appearance changes when you go through epiphany stuff like that. You literally, you can,
Yeah.
it changes the energy that comes out. When they say that people are like when you radiate or when you're in a really good space and all of a sudden people are looking at you
Yeah.
and babies are looking at you and dogs come up and you start. Have you seen metamorphosis like that on the table or when you know that they
Yeah.
finally made that shift?
Yeah, that's amazing. I see that a lot with women that come in, like when they come for trauma, they're like a zombie. There's no life in their
Yeah.
body. They're totally oblivious to what's going on around them because they're just in
Mhm.
such a bad state. So after their first session, I can see, oh, hello, they're back in their body. They're awake. They're aware of what's going on. Yes, they've still got pain. They're still releasing, but they're actually present and they're awake and they can hear what's going on and they can respond. Yeah, so that's really encouraging when I see that happen. But also it's really great for them because they then know. A lot of my clients just find me. They're like, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. And then at the end of that
Yeah.
first session, they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel like I'm alive.
Yeah.
I can breathe. I know what's going on. Yeah. So that's really great to see that change in people from
Mhm.
that very first session. And I feel like every client of mine that then comes back again, because we're working on particular traumas that their body are ready to release, they're getting
Mhm.
lighter, they're getting happier. You can feel
Yep.
their spirit is shining and bright and singing. And it's
Yeah.
almost, especially towards the end when we've released a lot, it's like they're walking on air and even just
Yeah.
the colors, like they might wear a lot of black, but then all of a sudden they're
Mhm.
wearing colorful or they put some makeup on or they had their hair done or they got their fingernails. There's just this appearance shift in the way they walk, their confidence or how they
Mhm.
talk. Well, they're smiling a lot, whereas before a
Yep.
smile never appeared. So it's
Yep.
definitely this metamorphosis that takes place, and you can see it visibly.
That's the quantum impact, and what happens is then you are setting yourself up to impact the energy around you to create the law of attraction around you to share your energy
Yeah.
with other people. Now you're fulfilled. Your bucket is filled. You're making sure
Yeah.
that it's filled. Yeah, and again, I use the analogy
Yeah.
like if you're on a plane, what do they say? If you're the mom or the dad, you always put your mask on first. So then you can assist other people, your kids. That's such an important aspect. And that's why it is so important to work with those things. Now, I completely agree in terms of you being a grounding energy and working with your clients. That is huge. It's such a huge advantage to work with somebody in person. I 100% agree on that. For people who are just learning about this or they don't have anybody to go to, I'd like to do a little call of action here with a few minutes left. Can you talk about if a woman feels heavy and disconnected from her confidence right now, what's one little quick quantum healing or visualization tool that she can use in her bedroom, in her car, or wherever the case to instantly collapse that old pattern and shift her energy? Is there something she can do to start the ball rolling, so to speak, in the right direction?
There's probably two things. One of them would definitely be grounding. I love grounding, and as simple as walking on the grass, or even if
Hmm.
you want to go a little bit further, standing on the grass and then visualize the sun pouring its beautiful, positive yellow light and energy into your body. And there's various stages of grounding. But the other thing that I really love, and it's super quick, if you're feeling horrible or flat, is if you were to shut your eyes and then imagine that there's screen doors. And if you
Uh
see
huh.
10 of them all lined up, and as you're going to step through the first one, and as you step through on the outside of the mesh, it's going to be all other people's energies, all the negativity, all the crap from the day, everything that belongs to everybody. So you just keep walking through these doors or run through these doors until you get to the very last door and it's clear. As you step through it, there's nothing left. And some days I might have to line up 100 because I just keep on running.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, that one is so quick and it really shifts your energy. If you're feeling flat or tired or overwhelmed or emotional, or you just are hating life, do that one. You're
Yeah.
going to clear your energy so quickly and you'll be able to visualize and see it as well. And then you'll start to feel a lot better. Make it part of your morning routine or as you're driving, maybe not as you're driving to work because you've got to visualize. It's a bad
You're
example.
right. Yeah. Don't
But
close your
yeah,
eyes while you're driving
just,
to work. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
wait,
But I,
maybe while you're at the toilet having your morning
y-
pee, do it then.
yeah, again, anytime you can fit it in, but just do it. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
like this huge commitment. Start off with a couple, 3 minutes and just do it. That's funny. You talked about the sun shining and the ground. My first visualization I ever learned was that. That was the first one. And
Yeah.
it was so powerful to ground me in this whole belief system that I have that all of this stuff actually works with that and meditation and journaling and all the other
Yeah.
fun tools
Yeah.
that we use and our clients use to do our good inner work. Leanne Sheargold, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And thanks for you're in Sydney, Australia. It is tomorrow there today for me. So it
Yes.
wasn't easy to get this squared away, but I really appreciate it. And I just love Australia and New Zealand and all the people there. And so I'm really glad we were able to finally connect. Can you let everybody know where you can be found and if you have anything to offer right now?
Yep, great. So everyone, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Leanne Sheargold. My business is called Pure Gold Holistic and Wellbeing. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram for there as well. And we also our website for Pure Gold Holistic and Wellbeing. And feel free to send me a message or I'll be able to respond back to you. Or even on our website is our email as well. So I look forward to answering any questions. Have a lovely day.
I love it. Thank you so much, Leanne. I really appreciate it. And I will put all that in the show notes too. So if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, then it'll be in the show notes as well. You can find my information at .com and it's Tony at the Confidence Doc. And you let me know if you have any questions, concerns. If you are somebody that is doing what we do and you would like to have a chat with me, also let me know because I always enjoy chatting with movers and shakers and empowering women that are changing lives. I just love that. It's the reason why I do it. So hope things are good and I will see you soon.